Hello everybody, my name is Josh, and today we're going to be reviewing a new indie game by the name of MicroTown. MicroTown is developed by Snowy Ash Games. Now, as the name implies, MicroTown is a city builder type of game. Currently, the game is in early access with frequent updates, so we can expect to see more features in the near future. But as it stands now, the ultimate objective of this game is to gather resources, build a village, and help it grow. In this sense, it's an economy-driven game, like the Anno series or Kingdoms and Castles, minus any combat or rival nations to contend with, for now. It's probably more akin to Banished, rather. There are two primary modes as far as the game. You got Monument Construction and Sandbox mode. Now, in Monument Construction, presumably you would have to build the monument, and that would be the end game goal. You have to proceed through the tech tree and gather enough resources in order to achieve that end. However, I don't think there's any sort of timer in the game, so that kind of takes away from the goal. But this mode here reminds me of Wonders from the Age of Empires series. The other mode is Sandbox, where there's no goal at all. However, it's funny because there's still a tech tree for the monument. You can still build it. But this Sandbox is different because you don't have unlimited resources. So you still have to gather the resources. So it's not like creative mode in Minecraft, for example. So in that sense, I don't think there's a huge distinction right now between the modes. However, there's also an easy and difficult mode. So the basic mode, easy mode rather, is where you have to manage the expectations of the villagers. So if you meet all their needs, they'll be happy, and the happier they are, the more productive they'll be. It's harder to do that in hard mode. And you also have the option of choosing your starter text. You can start with all text unlocked, which is kind of cheaty. But the coolest thing is, as the default mode, here if we go back and start a new game, the default mode where you have you have a tutorial. Now that tutorial is super useful. You can toggle it on and off, but when you generate the world, it will touch on all the main processes and mechanics of the game. So when you complete all the tasks in the tutorial, it will proceed as normal as a normal game. So it's not like a tutorial map or a tutorial mode that ends like a lot of other games. It just starts into the game after that point. So let's talk about a few things that drew me to this game in the first place. As you can listen here, the title music is fantastic. It's not something I expected to see in a game like this. I was thinking it would be more of an 8-bit type of sound or like a medieval sound. This is more of like a chill acoustic sound. Now I could listen to this forever, but the actual music in the game is different. It's a little more upbeat. It's slightly repetitive, and I wish they would have added maybe more tracks. But music is definitely a highlight of this game. Another thing that drew me to this game is the aesthetics, the pixelated artwork. I grew up in the 90s where all the games look like that, and that's something I always like. So games like Age of Empires, Civilization, those things, this kind of a look that I really appreciate. So I like that all of these new games coming out have that look. It makes it simple to build. You don't need a lot of 3D, and you don't need a lot of special hardware to play the game. It's pretty lightweight on the game and the graphics card. But as with any sandbox game, there's not really a story here either. It's just kind of it's what you make of it. So with that said, let's actually jump in. We're gonna load up a game I played the other day. It's gonna take a moment to load. Usually, the more you progress, it just takes longer. So we'll give that a moment. All right, so we're in the world now. Now keep in mind I am playing in 4K, so my map is pretty big. let's talk about the map for a minute. So if I hold down the right click button, I can pan, or you can pan with the WASD keys. But as we can see here, the map uses individual tiles that are hexagonal, so just like Civilization 5 and 6. And I chose a large world because I like playing on large worlds in general, so I always do that. But as you see here, it's like one large Pangea continent. There's no other rival nations, at least for now, and there's no individual continents. It's just one big landmass. Now, when you start the game, you start out with a town hall and a couple different granaries and warehouses, and all this other stuff I built. So, a couple interesting things about this game is that you have to gather the resources, but you got to be very mindful of the resources. So here's the resource menu. Now, nothing will happen without logs. Logs make the planks, and everything needs planks. And from there you get firewood and so forth. If you run out of logs or planks, you have to deconstruct other things to recover some of those materials, because if you don't, you can't build anything or do anything. So you're dead in the water, it's game over at that point. So you need that. Now you'll notice here, one funny thing that I saw when I first started playing the game, there are corpses as well. I don't know how that comes about. I think it's if the villagers starve to death, because there aren't any wild animals in the game. There's no barbarians, nothing like that I know of so far. And I've played this game for a few hours and I haven't seen anything like that. Okay, so one unique thing about this game is the way you build the structures. So just like in Anno, where you have to build a forester and so forth, except it's a little more complex, especially than I thought it would be. So for example, as far as the buildings go, you have many structures and auxiliary structures for each building. So just to start a wood farm going, you have to do a few things. So first you have to have a lumberjack. The lumberjack fells the trees and gathers the logs. And from there, you'll also need a sawmill to make the planks, and they can't do their job without the saw horses to saw the logs. And then from there, you need a woodcutter who can make logs into firewood as well, because the houses need the firewood as a basic modicum of happiness, so they're going to need that. But not only do you need all that, you're also going to need an arborist, and I didn't really place mine in the optimal location, but what they do is they take seeds and they make saplings out of it, so they regrow the trees. However, you're not done there either, because they won't grow into full trees until you have a forester. And we'll go back here. The forester, I got one right there. They take the trees from the tree farm and they go plant it out for the lumberjack to chop them down. So that took a minute to figure out, but you need all that. And you need more than just one lumberjack, because if you have a lumberjack, he's going to chop all the trees down, you're going to run out of wood. So all the buildings are similar to that. Not all of them are as complicated. There's different industries. So for example, later in the game, once you research pottery, you can build a quarry for clay, and there's a couple clay farms, clay pits there. But the potter, there's only one potter, and he has a couple different buildings he has to have. So he has a pottery wheel and he has a kiln. And one wasn't doing enough for me, so I have two buildings there. So that's a little bit tricky, trying to figure out the optimal balance between what buildings need what. Like I know that it's a good idea to maybe have five farms per worker, 5 farm plots. This one's like a little garden where they're growing little vegetables and stuff like that. Later on, you're going to unlock full-fledged farms like potatoes. I haven't figured out really the optimal balance, so I've got a bunch of different plots here. I probably don't need that many. But there you go. So that's kind of a unique thing about this game that I really appreciate. Another thing too is the tech tree. Now I wasn't really expecting this game to have a tech tree, as I said before, but the cool thing is, we'll open it up here. You start out with very simple stuff, and then you unlock all the rest of these things. As you gather the resources, if you get 10 logs and so forth, turn it into firewood, you unlock something else. So we've unlocked a lot here. Right now I have 20 points waiting for me. So let's gonna click on beekeeping. We'll jump right into that. So beekeeping has its own buildings, I'm going to assume. So yes, they have a florist. Looks like they plant flowers, and you use those for the beehive. So let's click on the florist, and let's see. There's a bunch of flowers up here anyway. So let's place it over here. And what they'll do, all these idle villagers we have here, I have a bunch of them. At least 13 right now that are just standing around. They're gonna go take all of the resources from the warehouses. Some warehouses are dedicated for wood, stone, some are for something else. And they're gonna go gather all that and bring it up. And they're gonna build it. So very, very reminiscent of Age of Empires and other type of resources like that. It's not an instant build. And then automatically one worker is assigned as a florist. Now there's no auxiliary buildings for this. So they just kind of hang out and plant flowers. Cool. So the other building that I assume you need to make these bees work is you're going to have a beekeeper. And I'm going to kind of place it within range of the florist. I just assume I need that. I don't know if I do or not, but we'll click it. And he's going to go build that. Now you'll see there's a couple auxiliary buildings here, so I'm assuming they're going to need both of these per one worker. So this is a beehive. We'll just go ahead and let's just place a little beehive, place it back here. And there is a honey press as well. And let's go ahead and build one of those over here. And they're gonna run down here and put all the planks up and start building. And while they're doing that, we're gonna go grab a road. Roads are cool because they don't require any resources, but they do make the travel time faster. However, if you get a stone road, it will need to have slabs. That's going to take a little longer to do, so let's just take a dirt road. We can actually bring it this way. Let's kind of bring it up here. Kind of go all the way up here, so make it faster for the people to get to where they need to be. You have a bunch of people there. Apparently I got a lot of people who just standing around, so I got an excess of people. Everybody here has a job, and they're all taking their shovels and digging the road. And look, we got little bees here. Now one thing I've noticed is there's no way to zoom in, and that's probably because I'm playing in 4K, but you're kind of set really far out up here in the atmosphere, so that's one thing I don't like. Another thing I don't like on the topic of that is that instead of hitting tab or escape to get out of something, you have to right click, and I'm really not used to that because every game I've played I'm always used to hitting tab or escape. So what I find myself doing a lot is hitting escape, and that opens up the menu. So we don't want to abandon the game, we don't want to go back, so let's resume. Now it took me a while to figure out you have to hit right click to do that. Also it took me a while to figure out you have to hold right click to pan. So there's a couple different things that I probably would change there as far as hotkeys go. Now, let's take a look here. So we have houses. Right now my housing capacity is maxed out, so people are not happy about that. My happiness is kind of low, mainly because they're all right, but they need some more houses. I could build a few. Let's see, let's just go ahead and place a couple down here. Just have some extra ones. You see a tall one there, that's the town hall. Everybody starts with one of those. And they're just going to town. And I assume if they were really unhappy, they'd be going a lot slower, and they wouldn't be as efficient. And they're pretty efficient now. So let's go back here and check the Beekeeper. So we see the Beekeeper is gathering the resources. He's making the honey. And the only thing is, usually we store the resources. There's places to store fruits and vegetables and things, but I don't think we have a storage unit particularly for honey. So I can see carrots and bread. I don't really see an option for any type of honey. See, this kind of sets what's stored here. So carrots are meant to go here. Strawberries are meant to go here, or tomatoes rather. And you have potatoes go here. And then the market collects those things. And then you have individual food stalls, and that's where the houses go and gather their stuff. So now that our houses are done there, let's go ahead and just kind of build a road just to make it look nice. Totally unnecessary, but you know, why not? Alright. So still haven't figured out what the honey is used for. It's interesting. Looks like they're making some honey there. We'll be pressing the honey in the honey press. So he's going to go grab the honey from the bees, and he's going to go take it over here. And then he's going to take it to here and press it. And it's going to make honey. Okay, now that we've made at least one honey, so I wonder if that's unlocked the honey option. So we got pottery, we got some stuff there. Interesting. So let's see if there's any other buildings here. Oh, by the way, there is a mortuary, so that's for all the corpses that happen to show up, and I haven't seen any in the game so far. I think that's only if people starve, and obviously in my game they're not on a server. I got 53 extra food because I got all these carrots and tomatoes going and all the potatoes, so they're fine for now. One thing we haven't talked about is the quarries. So this is an early building in the game. You're gonna have to have one to mine the stone. If you unlock coal, you can get coal and iron. We haven't done that yet. But these are kind of, you have to have a mason to make the slabs, and then the slabs are used for building materials like roads and so forth. It's the same with the clay. You got one for clay, and then there'll be one for sand and other things. And as we continue, look, we already got some more rewards here, so let's go ahead and claim. We got some pottery, so everybody's happy. We got pots for days. I'm sure Link would be happy. Okay, and then we've raised bees, so we've got bees and honey. I don't know where they're storing it, but hey, we got 40 of them, so let's go ahead and unlock that too. So now we've got all these things we can explore here. So there's carpentry. They'll make furniture. I'm afraid to unlock that because we've already got some wood going. If we take too much of that wood away, it's going to throw the whole system out of whack, and we're going to run out of planks. So we need that for firewood and stuff like that. So let's open up something else. Let's see. What would the people like? Let's get a tavern going. So open up brewing. So now we have a brewery and a tavern. So let's start a brewery first, because I'm assuming we're gonna need some farms and some things like that. Let's put it out here, out of the way. Put it over here. And they got a couple. We got a vat. Let's kind of put that over here. And beer and mead. So let's get one for both. I don't really know why, but let's just go ahead and do that. Let's kind of put a road out to both of these. Alright. So they're going to go ahead and build that. And let's build a... Let's see what else. Oh, well. Oh, so that well might be important for various things. So let's go ahead and place that down as well. See, there's just tons of stuff unlocks other things, and they're all needed to do whatever needs to be done. So let's go ahead and get that going. Glad I clicked on that. And then I don't know where they're getting the mead from. Like, what are they using to make? So we got water. Is there another crop we can grow? Yes, so we're gonna have to build a farm to grow barley. So this is like, you know, if you're a homeowner and you run into a problem and you try to go fix the problem, and then you gotta find something else to fix the problem, and kind of keeps going and going. So we're making problems for ourselves. So let's go ahead and make another problem. Let's make another farm down here. And this farm is going to be a barley farm. And last I checked, I think we have to place 5 different fields per worker. And these people are going to drink a lot, so let's go ahead and build a bunch of farms and just get a bunch of workers going. And we'll make it easy on them. We'll just build a road straight to the front door. Look at them go. They're happy to build that. Now while we're doing that, we might as well build a let's see, a granary for all these all these hops and stuff. Let's put that here. Let's see. I don't think you can store that, but we'll wait and see. I think you actually have to grow a crop first. Once that is produced, then it unlocks a storage option. Yeah, right now it's just kind of there. It's got an exclamation over it. It doesn't know what to do with itself. Right. So we've got mead requires some sort of beer needs barley and water, and then mead needs honey and water. So we can make mead over there. We can make that with the honey that we're making. But I don't know if they're storing this honey in a useful place. I don't see a granary anywhere. There's no option to store it. And I don't see an option here, unless there's some type of other building. Let's see if the market square has any other buildings. Oh, supply stall, carrots, potter. And there will be bugs in this game, so there might not actually be, since it is a new thing, there may not actually be places to store stuff yet. That's possible. Or they could just all be used by certain things. One thing we haven't built is the actual tavern. So we've got the farm and everything. Let's build a tavern, because that might be where we store stuff. See how big this is? That's really important. So we probably want to put it in a central location. Let's put it... I'm going to put it right here for now. And hopefully that won't make people mad, because we do need... he needs to gather all the alcohol and things from these places. Alright. So they're chopping the barley down, and they're making the meat here. A lot of people standing around here, and they're bringing all the meat to the tavern, and I think that's where they store. Yeah, that's where they store the spirits and so forth. The granary just doesn't have an option, so we probably don't need that. Let's go ahead and demolish it. Yeah, they're already full, slam full. So now we need the people. Let's see. They're happy. All you have to do is go there. So there's no market stall for that. They just go right to the tavern, and they're super happy. My happiness has gone all the way up to 11, so super content. Not a whole lot of happiness going, but they are super content, and that's all that matters. So yeah, so we've unlocked that. Now I don't want to spoil the rest of this game for you. There's tons of different things to unlock, but I think that about covers the long and short of it. I'm very happy with the game. I like the menu. I like the aesthetic. I like the depth that it goes into, despite being simple. You get all these trees. They planted so many. Got all these workers here making planks and so forth. It's really interesting. I'm gonna see how this game goes and follow the developer. If you're interested in this game and you'd like to give it a try for yourself, check the link in the description below. And as always, I've been Josh.